Circumstances was a 911 call regarding an infant not breathing at a residence. The decedent is a 4-month-old girl. The time of dispatch for police and fire was 9:38 and 27 seconds a.m. Officers began arriving at 9:38 and 44 seconds. The first car arrived at 9:40 and 12 seconds. The second officer's car en route to the hospital with the baby was 9:40 and 53 seconds. And the arrival at Ascension Hospital was at 9:44 a.m. So the time elapsed for the total was 3 minutes, 7 seconds from the time the first patrol car arrived on scene until the child was at the hospital. Now, the footage you are about to see is heart-wrenching and is emotional. The goal is to provide the public with a first-hand view of what officers dealt with as they arrived on scene and a transparent look at the quickness in which officers arrived on scene and made it to the hospital in an effort to save the child's life. The video, without question, shows officers arriving on scene less than 2 minutes after being dispatched. You will clearly see, the first officer runs up to the child and immediately starts CPR. The video also shows the quick, split-second decision officers made to transport the child to Ascension Oakland Hospital, which is only 2.8 miles away. Again, the fire department was responding to this call from another call 3 miles away. The transport conducted by a 2-officer car. You'll note that the officer in the passenger seat does CPR and chest compressions all the way to the hospital. Officers utilized their emergency equipment and arrived at the hospital in 3 minutes and 7 seconds after leaving the scene. I fully support the heroic actions undertaken by these officers in an attempt to save the child's life. With seconds matter, our officers are going to do all they can to get a child to a hospital as fast as possible. Officers arrived at the hospital in about the same time it would have taken the fire department, and you'll see this, to respond to the scene. There'll be a map that gives you a good indication of that. So let me just make it clear that there is no internal investigation. Apparently there was a report of an internal investigation. There's no internal investigation, never was an internal investigation into any of the officers' involvement in this incident. The officers did nothing wrong and utilized their training, their experience, and common sense to get the child to the hospital as quickly as possible. I watched this video, and I seen that Warren officers never gave up hope. They never gave up hope. Officers never stopped life-saving measures from the moment they arrived on scene. You'll see that until they arrived at the hospital. You'll see that en route to the hospitals, officers never passed a fire truck or an ambulance. Officers who are not going to be intercepted with a child's life is on the line. It is sad that I have to be here today to defend the work of the men and women in blue who did all they could for this child. I have nothing but respect and admiration for the officers in this case. Most people would understandably panic and shut down when faced with these circumstances. These officers acted decisively and got the child to the hospital very quickly. So with that, we're going to show the video, and I'll answer any questions you have. John, what do I turn it? This is pretty graphic, as I said, so.
Come in. What's the problem? How old is your baby, ma'am? Okay, they're not breathing at all? Ma'am, they're not breathing. Yes, if they're on, ma'am?
Okay, grab the baby, grab the baby, grab the baby. Where's fire? Where's fire? Where are we going? Where are you going? Open the door! Come on. Come on. Come on. Travel 50 for transporting to open.
Travel route 54 open.
Come on! Come on!
Almost happy.
Go, go, go!
That's my route.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Travel 50, you going to Oakland?
You see on the right there, he's still giving compressions. Officer on the right.
Come on. Come on. Oh, okay, got something. Come on.
I'm going to take you there tonight.
Is he not breathing? No. You do the chest pump. Do the chest pump. I am. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Clear. Let's get us there, man. I'm getting us. Yeah, just keep doing those chest pumps. Be right in the sternum. She's still warm. Come on.
You can make it full off now. We're going to remain with the general.
If you could have the meet us at the emergency exit, staff, please.
They're just arriving at the hospital now.
Sorry, what is it?
The emergency.
I'm on it. We're on the line now.
Clear.
Sorry, have order from general.
They're going on the way.
Is it Charlie Lowe?
She's still warm? She's still warm? Yeah, she's still warm. She's still warm.
Almost 50 Oakland General, sorry.
Pull up now. Next one. All right, come on, baby. Come on, baby. All right.
Okay, before I answer any questions, I want to play just one call that I received out of many this morning of a concerned citizen.
Enter your PIN followed by invalid entry. Enter your ID followed by pound. Enter your PIN. Invalid entry. Enter your ID followed by pound. Enter your PIN followed by pound.
Where's that going, John? Excuse me 1 second.
Enter your PIN followed.
Commissioner Bill Dwyer.
Hello. You have one saved message. To send a message, press 2. To review old messages, 3. For setup options, 4. For saved messages, press 1. Saved messages. Message 1.
Hi, Commissioner Dwyer. My name is Ray Jones. I'm a resident of Taylor, Michigan. And I saw a story about the 2 police officers that transported the baby. And I just had to call in and give my 2 cents because last month my grandson stopped breathing. And we were a mess. We were running, we were screaming, we were kicking and hitting walls and praying. And they made the EMS grabbed him. They ran outside. They worked on him. The police pulled up. The officers, one of them drove the actual ambulance while the other one escorted the ambulance to the hospital so the EMTs could work on my grandson. And I promise you that every doctor that touched him or nurse said, had they not done that, my grandson, who is almost 5 years old, he'll be 5 next month, would not be breathing today. So please cut these officers some slack. They did what they felt was right in that instance. When a child is not breathing, every millisecond seems like an hour. So grabbing that baby up, jumping in that car, and getting him to the hospital was the best thing. And please, I do not. I know we give the police a bad rap. I'm a black woman. So calling about some police is not something that a lot of people probably don't do. But I just don't feel like these officers should be punished for doing what any human being would do. 2 minutes waiting or 3 minutes waiting on an ambulance to get there could have just been death for this baby. So please, please do not punish these officers. And my name is Ray Jones.
So those are the kind of calls that we received this morning from citizens that were concerned about a investigation which never transpired. There was never the thought of an investigation. The officers acted heroically, did an excellent job, did the best they could. And the reason I'm here today to share this information is because of the criticism that these officers received that's affecting this entire department. The men and women of the department are very concerned over what was reported, including our dispatchers. We do have a wellness program, and a number of those officers and dispatchers will be part of the wellness program tomorrow. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Commissioner,
Amy?
has there been a discussion with fire about, protocols or anything like that, or are the 2 departments in agreement that this was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I talked to the fire commissioner earlier this morning, and we have set up meetings, communications to talk about, what transpired and why this information got out the way it did get out. When I received the call yesterday, I indicated to Sean that I wasn't going to discuss it, that if we were criticized by the fire department, I would respond to it after I heard what their criticism was.
Are your officers trained in CPR?
Absolutely. Officers are trained and they're certified in CPR, and they are recertified on a I think it's a bi-yearly basis. All of the officers are, including our dispatchers, yes.
Commissioner, do you know anything about the circumstances that led up to the child being found that way? What more do we know about the minutes or hours prior to that?
Our detectives are investigating it. It's an open investigation as far as the background, as far as the death of the baby. So it is a death investigation.
Commissioner, I know it's under investigation. Can you discuss if this baby came in contact with fentanyl at the home?
I'm not going to discuss the investigation at this time, other than say there is a death investigation being conducted by our detectives here in Warren.
The EMS that we heard from said they wanted to get hands on that baby at the scene and in the ambulance. So I know you're responding to that. But
Well, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, what we did. I mean, the time, everything. I mean, how critical time is. I mean, our officers, it's not uncommon for law enforcement to transport infants or others that are in need of immediate assistance before, and that's why we did it, and we'll continue to do. We'll continue to serve the citizens of the city as well as law enforcement does around this country, and that's to save lives. I mean, I would hope that everybody understands that it's really a partnership with police and fire, and we're going to mend any problems we have currently with the fire department.
The officers that were involved, are they taking any time off?
No, as I indicated, there's a session tomorrow with our group here to work with the officers and dispatchers if necessary. But definitely it had a very devastating effect on the officers, especially after the report came out last night that they were under investigation.
Commissioner, forgive me, who's raising the question about whether proper procedures were followed here? Is there a complaint?
Well,
the media?
I'm not going to get into it. It came out obviously from someone in the fire department. I'm going to just leave it at that.
But there's no official complaint, right?
No, there's no complaint. It was about protocols.
Have you had any dialogue with the child's family at all?
Yes, we have.
Have they expressed anything to you?
They're devastated.
Is there a medical examination underway for the child?
Yes.
And you sort of mentioned that because of the investigation, you're not saying what happened or what.
Correct, at this time, right.
What the problem.
Yeah, the intent today was just to clarify the reason or reasons why the police department took the action it did in doing the transport of the baby rather than the fire department. And of course it was the urgency. And the police department was there. They were met, outside the home. Immediately started the CPR on the baby. Immediately put the baby into this car, a two-man car, and the officer worked on the baby as the other officer drove to Ascension Hospital. I mean, just an excellent job. The officers it was heroic on their part. They're taken back today. It's a sad day when anyone really dies, especially when the officer or officers are attempting to save a life.
And follow up, I know you said there's an investigation, but could there be some follow up if any wrongdoing was found on?
I'm not going to comment on that today.
And then to be crystal clear here, there's full agreement from the first responders that life-saving protocols were followed.
Say that again?
Life-saving protocols were followed. All the first responders agree on that.
The first responders from this department agree on it, yes.
Okay. Well, one other question, Commissioner, you've been around for a long time. You've been
right.
From various departments. What is your sense of policing and how police work is reported in the media has changed over time? Do you have any similar?
Well, these are, I've been in it for decades, law enforcement, starting with the Detroit Police Department, but I've never experienced the problems that are facing law enforcement today compared to over 50 years of public service, or 60 years really. The officers are under that microscope 24/7. They are thankful today to have body cams, because body cams has decreased complaints by 50% because of the alleged complaints that come in that are not complaints at all. It's just an allegation. It's assisting the officer. But this whole issue as far as law enforcement today, it's devastating what's happened in this country, especially the larger cities like New York, Chicago, LA. It's no support from the politicians. Here in Michigan, here in Warren, we have support from both the mayor and the city council. as well as, I believe, the politicians, the elected officials with the Detroit Police Department. So it's a difficult job out there, and the applicants aren't there any longer as they were years ago, because people just aren't getting into law enforcement because of, you know, some of the negative feedback when the officers are out there trying to save lives and doing their jobs, and it's very difficult.
Commissioner, the meeting with fire, what's the goal for the meeting?
Just so that we have a better understanding as far as protocols and communications, and we understand each other. I think that there's some sort of a concern over what the police department's responsibilities are when it comes to transports, and what the fire department feels is theirs. We share their concerns to a certain degree, but we're going to continue to transport when we feel it's necessary. That's not going to change, but we will have some very positive dialogue with the fire department, and I hope that they have a better understanding as far as our position. We're not trying to take any transports away from them or saving lives. I think it's a partnership. If we can save the life, we're going to save the life. Hopefully they do the same. They're out there saving lives, fighting fires.
So does this all sort of boil down to a police-fire rivalry?
Never has been. It never has been. This is the first time. In fact, it's the first time in my career that I'm aware of police and fire having any conflict or a situation where it would lead to some dissatisfaction between both police and fire. I think we're all out there trying to do our jobs, and that's why we have to have dialogue, and that's why we're meeting, is to clear the air. If there's something out there that the fire department's not happy with, and I'm not critical of the fire department, but we do want to clear the air. I mean, when I was contacted yesterday by a reporter, I said, hey, if they're going to criticize, that's theirs. But if they're going to start criticizing on the record the police department, then I'm going to defend. I'm going to defend the men and women of this department for the actions they take, especially when they're saving an infant's life or attempting to save an infant's life or anybody's life for that matter.
Thank you, Commissioner.
To clarify, though, is it the whole fire department
No,
that's
no.
raising this, or is this
No,
one person?
I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you without a doubt it's not the entire fire department. We have a good relationship with the fire department. This is an isolated incident, period.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you very much. You gentlemen have anything to say back there? Bill, you got anything? Or